word myth usually means a story that's kind of obviously not true, but has a lesson of some sort, often a useful lesson. So I hesitated a little to call this video Diabetes Myths, because unfortunately too many people take these as true, and therefore the lessons learned cannot be a good one. This should be called Diabetes Untruths instead. But let's be clear, you and I need to know as much accurate information about diabetes as possible, and anything that is untrue can not only be misleading, but could be dangerous. Got it? By the way, if you're not clear about the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, you should watch my diabetes types video first. Alright, here are some common untruths about diabetes. Eating too much sugar causes diabetes. Not true. The cause of type 1 diabetes is still a mystery, but there is nothing to suggest it's related to food in any way. And while type 2 diabetes is clearly associated with too much weight, it appears that stored body fat of a certain type plays a role, and stored body fat comes from too many calories and too little activity. People with diabetes need to manage their intake of carbohydrates, which includes sugar and sweets. Often foods with added sugars are higher in calories, so we may gain weight from too much of these types of foods. There is no cause and effect between diabetes and sweets specifically. Type 1 diabetes is bad diabetes. Type 2, no big deal. Some might debate this, but I have a different idea. Type 1 diabetes is sometimes referred to as the bad diabetes because type 1 requires insulin injections. There are also some dangers with really low blood sugar or really high blood sugar that most people with type 2 don't face. But people with type 1 diabetes must attend to their disease. They must check their blood sugar, they must take insulin, they must account for what they eat. Some people with type 2 simply ignore the disease because the symptoms of their high blood sugars are not as severe. But while emergencies are unlikely, ignoring type 2 diabetes allows slow damage to our health. So while type 1 has specific management regimens which use insulin, type 2 is easy to ignore. Ignoring diabetes is inviting real trouble. People with diabetes must follow a special diabetic diet. Not true. While diet plays an important role in diabetes management, an effective diabetes-friendly diet is nothing more than a healthy diet with special attention to carbohydrates. The progression of diabetes to those serious complications is best avoided by finding a healthy weight, managing our cholesterol and blood pressure levels, and following our recommendations for carbohydrates. It's mostly the same diet everyone should follow. It's insulin that causes diabetes complications. This is not only false, but leads to much unnecessary stress. Insulin is how our body manages blood sugar naturally, and injected insulin is the most effective way to manage blood sugar when we have diabetes. It is high blood sugar levels that cause complications, the opposite of insulin. This untruth causes many people with type 2 to resist doctor recommendations for beginning insulin therapy, and causes unnecessary worry for those who are already taking insulin. Now that I have diabetes, there's nothing I could do to save myself. This misperception is often the result of knowing someone who suffered with complications or even died from poorly managed diabetes. Poorly managed is the key thought here. Managing diabetes well is not easy, but you can do it. Nobody can guarantee results, but if we commit to managing diabetes every day as well as we can, keeping average blood sugars as close to normal as possible, we can reduce our risk of suffering from complications by an incredible amount. It's in our hands to do what's necessary. Those are just a few of the misleading, inaccurate, or just plain false ideas about diabetes that float around. Get your information from someone who knows. Ask your doctor or your diabetes educator as part of your commitment to learn the truth about diabetes. Your health is too important not to know the truth. Thanks for watching.